Okay, here is something that I'm not going to convince people well on this lovely day that I'm shooting this video on. But this has been an utterly dismal August in Seattle, Washington. Uh, Seattle is, of course, not known for its lovely weather, although most of us who know the weather here will defend how beautiful it is when the weather is nice. The bluest skies you've ever seen there in Seattle. Perry Como told you that. If you look, there's some dismal clouds over there that you can see. So it's not entirely beautiful. There you go. So that has not had me... I tend towards seasonal affective. So it's been a fairly gloomy August for me. It hasn't been depressed or anything. I have been dealing with that in a variety of ways. Meditation and whatnot have really put me in touch with that. But the fact that the gloom is lurking there is always part of what I'm doing. And so I was going to a job interview, which I got, and I'm working towards that. Put notice in at my current job, and I may or may not discuss that more, I don't know. But I was headed to that interview and was thinking, what should I put on music-wise to psych myself up. I decided on Elvis. And I know that I have a number of songs on there, on my playlist, which is a little over-complete, that aren't, the cheeriest. But it's unconsciously at that moment, I didn't know it. I wasn't thinking of it. I was really thinking of, Good Luck Charm and, won't you wear my ring around your neck and stuff, like anybody would be. And so, of course, right away what comes on is Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues. It's a great cover. It is missing a piece of one verse. Elvis does not cop to having pills to help with his blues, to help with the pain. He doesn't have pills. He doesn't cop to taking pills to ease his pain. Although, perhaps that was, Anyway, without getting too critical of Elvis, because it is, as I said, a great version of that song. And it's a great song. I've now become mildly obsessed with it over the next, week or two it's been, on and off. It seems to fit my headspace that I'm in. Okay, I'm just starting out making YouTube videos, so I'll tell you, I'm going to put links down at the bottom to key versions of the song for those of you who aren't terribly familiar or don't feel like super up to date, so you can go, oh, that's what the feeling is. Oh, that's what he's talking about pills and rain and shit. I get it. So I don't know if you know this. If you decide to get into that song, you can find like 800 million versions. Oh, Cab Calloway did it, or Jerry Lee Lewis, The Killer, You're in a good space, and then you can find the Bards, who did the first released recorded version. Danny O'Keefe, who had the hit and wrote the song, has recorded it first, but the first released version was by the Bards. It's actually quite good, although my heart keeps telling me you're just a kid at 23, which they say, because they're a band of young kids, might be a little off. I might have, had I been them, I might have still said 33 and just played it off that I was in character. But they do have the fact that was what led me. They are from Moses Lake, Washington, which was interesting. So, I sort of had that key, and I listened to their album, which is actually, pretty good overall. And then but it had me in mind, and I started. Then I started reading on Danny O'Keefe, who was born in Spokane, Washington, And he has a couple of albums that aren't like readily available. They're like the demos that he recorded. They're called the Seattle tapes. So that led me to think that he was indeed in Seattle when he wrote that song, which is, you know, why it fits my mood so well. Although most years, it wouldn't fit that mood so well in the month of goddamn August. It's an interesting song to have in my head. It has a lot of interesting places to do wordplay, which is one of the things that I do when songs go through my head. I sing them wrong. Good time Charlie's at the zoo. Good time Charlie's making stew. Good time Charlie's eating poo. Good time Charlie's on kazoo. You can really do this all day long. Play around, you'll lose your wife, you know, or you'll learn to play the fife. If you've ever partaken of this game, you probably know why it is that, you know, somebody like Weird Al Yankovic is fairly amazing in his ability to just consistently do this over and over, because it's hard. Coming up with a funny line or two like that, which isn't even funny, it's just odd, which is why I like it, you know, is remarkably easy, and probably you have thought of, just as a random viewer, you're almost certainly have like heard a song and have thought of a funny lyric or, you know, funny change of the title, maybe even a whole chorus or a chunk of a song, but then you just sort of lost track of it because it started to get hard and you didn't really have a plan to, you know, send it to Dr. Demento or anything. So, you know, that's the trick, is that the whole song is the hard part, is the really, really tricky part. And because you immediately start falling into parts where they fit technically, you write lyrics that fit, but they don't quite scan right. The fife thing has me in mind that does anybody play the fife? I mean, do you know anybody? I assume that in military bands there are people who play the fife. Is that a thing? You never like talk to anybody and go, you know, oh, are you a musician? Well, no, but, well, I mean, I used to play the fife, but, you know, family came and, you know, I had to get a real job, and fifing just wasn't in the cards anymore as time went on. So yeah, I don't know what the moral of all this rambling is. I suppose that that this is the stuff that I'm thinking about right now. Things are actually going really well. I say the gloom and the fact that I'm recognizing the gloom and not succumbing to it is a really good place in my own life, and one of the reasons why I would like to go ahead and move to somewhere else that I don't feel as gloomy, and I'm considering what those places might be and what that would involve. So I'm not having an answer, but the fact that I'm in a headspace where I can recognize that and go on and enjoy my spouse and our daughter is a really fantastic improvement in my life from where it's been at other times. So I'm really happy with that. I'm just concerned about, I just would like to take that extra step to just being able to live without having that be a consistent thing that I'm struggling against.